We have a beautiful day here on the Gulf Coast, 77 degrees. There's a slight breeze out of the east, partly cloudy skies, very San Diego-like actually. There's a look at Norm Turner. In the second half of the season from 2007 until now, his record is 30-10. He's been terrific, and the Buccaneers fired Raheem Morris. They hired Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano, now in his first year with Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers won the toss. They have deferred, and they'll take it to begin the second half. And so San Diego will get the kickoff. Curtis Brinkley is a running back, and he'll be waiting for the boot from the Tampa Bay Bucks, Michael Kanan, who is also the punter. But you can see he's got a big leg, Solomon, and special teams should play a role somehow today.
Oh, absolutely, and this is a game of great intrigue because we know both quarterbacks can light it up. Between Phillip Rivers and Josh Freeman, we should see plenty of big plays made in this game today.
This is Brinkley. He's out of Syracuse. He's returning kicks for the first time in his NFL career right about now. Did it last week. He'll do it again today. The Buccaneers, the Chargers, uncommon opponents, but very much in the mix in each conference's playoff talk right now. Let's now go to the opening lineups, and we begin with Phillip Rivers, who's coming off a terrific game last week in which he beat Kansas City with over 90% Solomon completion percentage, one of only 6 ever to do that in a single game in NFL history.
So Phillip Rivers is always a balance between being careful and being careless. Yes, he has to attack this Buccaneers defense. He has to be aggressive, but he's got to be careful also because turnovers can undermine a really good game for the San Diego Chargers.
Bottom of your screen there is LaRon McClain. There goes Matthews in motion. It's first down and 10. Good block by Harris. That's a little bit high outside. Incomplete. Looking for Ryan Matthews on an incompletion by Rivers. Offensive line, Green, Hardwick, Vasquez, and Clary had started every game this season. Left tackle, though, has been unsettled. Gaither is out again. Groin injury this time. Rookie Mike Harris making his 5th start. And leading receiver Malcolm Floyd will work against the lowest-ranked pass defense in the NFL, as will Robert Meacham, who is active after missing the last week, although Alexander will start in his place. There's the top receiver with 33 receptions, Malcolm Floyd. Here is a second down and 10 after the first down incompletion by Phillip Rivers. Matthews, he was tied up by Eric Wright, came by and threw him for a 1-yard loss back to the 19-yard line with a look at the Buck defense. Number 1, as we said, against the run. Michael Bennett leads the Buccaneers in sacks, but it's been the health of Gerald McCoy which has helped this run defense top the league right now. One of the best defensive rookies in the NFL. Starts at outside linebacker. Levante David leads Tampa Bay in tackles. And the secondary is under siege. The pass defense dead last in the league. The 16-year veteran Rondé Barber trying to keep things together. Here's a 3rd and long 10 with 5 in the secondary, and Ahmad Black is the 5th defensive back for the Bucs. And they got the first down, caught by Danario Alexander, and stays on his feet. Now it's a foot race, being chased by Leonard Johnson. There he goes. And he's going to go in for the touchdown after the missed tackle against the worst pass defense in the NFL. An 80-yard completion, and the Chargers are on the board.
Danario Alexander is a big-time target. He's a big body at 6'5", 215 pounds. Man-to-man coverage. He pushes off on Johnson, but watch. He never goes down, Kevin. One hand down, knee off the ground. And then it's a sprint to the finish line we call the goal line. And it's a touchdown for Alexander. He was inserted into the starting lineup over Robert Meacham today. What a call by the head coach, Norv Turner.
Rivers with the 80-yard touchdown pass. Of course, every play that scores is reviewed. It has been, and so they have counted it. And the extra point is away and good by Nick Novak. And just like that, with the first touchdown reception this season for Alexander, who was signed off the street a couple weeks ago, running 80 yards, the touchdown there, a career-long catch. The Chargers on top. So the Chargers come up with a huge play. Rivers with his 13th touchdown pass of the season. And today, in his 105th consecutive start, comes up with a big one early on the first possession.
See, they blitz Rondé Barber, so you have to go man-to-man coverage. Look at Leonard Johnson, he doesn't get him down. And he thought he down. You can't sling the big man down to the ground. You've got to tackle them to the ground. Bring your feet, bring your hands, your hips, and you've got to secure that tackle. What a play by Alexander.
How will Tampa Bay respond with Alexander coming off of all kinds of knee issues? He was cut from the Rams back in August. He's been on the street working out but not playing with the team, and signed a couple weeks ago, and here he is with a terrific first series play, keeping his balance, raising the distance, 80-yard touchdown, and now the ensuing kickoff by San Diego. Deep back to retrieve it will be Laquan Lewis. He is out of Tennessee, off the practice squad. He was signed on Tuesday because of the injury to Aurelius Ben. Now the Buccaneer offense, led by quarterback Josh Freeman, going through the best four-game stretch of his career. Solomon with 11 touchdowns and 1 interception and a passer rating of over 100 each game.
And what did Josh Freeman tell us about his new head coach, Greg Schiano? He has breathed new life back into my game. He's having fun playing football. It's all about having a winning attitude. He shedded 25 pounds. I think he's got a new body and a new mindset.
And the play of Vincent Jackson has been absolutely huge as he has built his confidence. And here we go, first down and 10 after the 80-yard catch and run by Alexander of the Chargers. That's grabbed by Vincent Jackson. He's hit by Jammer across the way. They'll knock him out of bounds at the 25 on a gain of 5. The offensive line without 2 Pro Bowl guards, Carl Nix and Davin Joseph, both out for the season with injury. So Zuda has moved to center. From center to left guard. Penn has become the only lineman to make it all the way through so far. Just months after leaving the Chargers as a free agent, Vincent Jackson just made that grab, leads the NFL in yards per reception. He's made a huge difference to the Buccaneers so far. Second down and 5. Doug Martin. Oh, breaking like he did last week in Oakland, and in the secondary, running into Bigby, who knocks him out of bounds. A run to the 39, 13-yard pickup, first down, Buccaneers.
We told you that he would be tough to tackle, and watch 95 Sean Phillips. Look at that. He breaks right out between 2 defenders and is able to get to the second level of the defense. Excellent balance. It's tough to tackle. Eric Weddle can't get him on the ground. Neither can Phillips, and it's a plus game for Martin.
They traded up to get this kid. They traded a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick to draft him number 31 out of Boise State. First and 10. And Martin again. Hit by Gilchrist in the Chargers secondary, among others. That's a gain of 7 after a 13-yard run moments ago. That Charger defense, every projected starter has been in the lineup all 8 games. All 11 have started all season. Lidgett is an emerging player, but missed practice this week with a hamstring injury. They're not sure how long he's going to go today. Inside linebacker Donald Butler leads the team in tackles, one of the better inside backers in the NFL. And Eric Weddle, one of the best free safeties in the league, when he's in the box, in other words, closer to the line of scrimmage, he stops the run most of any safety in the NFL. Number 1 in that category. Second down and 3. And Martin. And I think he was grabbed. He was by Corey Lidgett on that line. It's a loss of a yard and just inside the 45-yard line.
And what you can see early on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they want to come out and establish the run, establish Doug Martin, who shredded the Oakland Raiders for 251 rushing yards 1 week ago. And what that's going to do, they want to force San Diego to commit to the run, stack the box where they can get favorable one-to-one matchups on the outside with their talented wide receiver.
Lynch in the secondary for the Chargers, 3rd down and 4. Winner is in as the 3rd down back. He offers a block, and they go outside. That's Jackson with the first down catch. Weddle grabs him to the 48 at San Diego. That's a pickup of 7 yards, and that is a Buccaneer first down.
Well, Vincent Jackson has 32 receptions now on the year. 30 of them have converted for first downs, including this one. He is so good at moving the chains. You talked about him leading the league in average yards per catch. He usually can extend the field and move the chains with just about every reception.
And he's having a career year so far.
He's been phenomenal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
First and 10.
Mike, come on. Right? Up, right? Delta.
Brock Johnson, they're going deep. Weddle was ahead, Jammer was behind, and Jackson was in the crosshairs of the quarterback Freeman. 2nd down and 10.
Well, we told you we expect big plays from both of these quarterbacks today. Phillip Rivers have already provided with the big play to Alexander. Now you see Freeman trying to go up top to his weapon of choice in Vincent Jackson. They're going to continue to take shots. Boy, I got to tell you, it was great sitting down talking to Josh Freeman. You can tell his mindset, his mentality. He says, we knew that we were a good football team, and we're not as good as we expect to be come the end of the year. You can tell they expect to continue improving.
Corey Lynch is playing in place of Atari Bigby in the safety position. 2nd down 10. 7th play of the drive. They go short. Martin is open, chased by Spikes. A block ahead by Williams. Jammer from behind brings him down. On a catch and run to the 6-yard line. It's a pickup, a catch and run of 41, 1st and goal, Buccaneers.
Kevin, we told you he could catch it coming out of the backfield, did we not? And they're just working the matchups. And you can see he gets out. You can see Takeo Spikes. He drops coverage. And that's just not a good matchup because Doug Martin's not just catching and running. He's running away from the entire defense. They've got too many weapons on this Buccaneers offense to contain them. We already told you, over 400 yards total offense in each of their last 4 games.
LeGarrette Blount has come in the backfield. He is their sledgehammer. 1st and goal from the 6, and this is Blount. Signed off waivers last year, jumping on his back, Legit. Gain of 3, and he's down to about the 3.
Big plays in the passing game, and it doesn't matter who's going to get it. Whether it's Mike Williams, whether it's Vincent Jackson, we told you about Doug Martin. They haven't even unleashed Greg Schiano, their tight end, Dallas Clark, who's capable of making plays. He's about building a tough football team. That's why they came out and ran it 3 consecutive plays, and now they're starting to air it out. As you see, down inside the red zone. This is where the San Diego Chargers defense has been very vulnerable, Kevin.
Reyes is coming on that line. 2nd down and goal at the 3. The fake to Martin, wide open. Dallas Clark, Tampa Bay touchdown.
Well, pick your poison. You think you're going to stop Doug Martin from running the ball? North Turner knows he's in for a battle trying to stop this Buccaneers offense. You got to quiet those cannons because they'll be going off all day if you don't play better defense. Watch Clark slipping out of the backfield well beyond anywhere where the Chargers have defenders, where they rank dead last in red zone defense. And you can see the Buccaneers taking advantage of it.
Connor Barthel trying the extra point, and so Tampa Bay responds to the 80-yard touchdown pass to Denario Alexander with a 9-play, 80-yard drive of their own, a 3-yard touchdown pass to the veteran Clark. Nice plays by Martin, a 13-yard run, a 41-yard catch and run. Then they find the veteran tight end in the end zone. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already matched last season's win total, 4-12 last year, 4-4 coming into today, and they make a statement much like the Chargers did. We're tied at 7 early in the contest.
You can see Coach Schiano has got his fingerprints all over this young football team. He's instilled discipline, and they get down 7-0 at home after an 80-yard strike. All they do is come back and answer.
Brinkley will be out of the end zone, and so they'll keep it there. So a 20-yard line beginning spot for Phillip Rivers, who had the 80-yard touchdown pass to Alexander. Most of it a catch and run, and here they come with their 2nd possession.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Ford and the Go Further with Ford Night.
Rivers a touchdown pass, Freeman a touchdown pass, knotted at 7 apiece. Handful of minutes gone, just under 9 to play in the first. 2nd possession for the Chargers from their 21st and 10. There's the block at the left tackle, and this is Matthews, who is wrapped up by Quincy Black. Works his way Not even to the line of scrimmage. They lose a yard on the play. 2nd down and 11.
One thing Norv Turner talked about coming into this game is he emphasized that they have to be able to run the ball. He doesn't expect that they'll be able to rush for a lot of yards in this game, but they do have to do something to slow down this pass rush and control the front 7 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can't put it all on Phillip Rivers to throw the ball on every single down and still think you can protect the quarterback.
5 in the secondary for the Bucs. 2nd 11 for Rivers. And what a catch by Ford. Drilled by the rookie Mark Barron. He makes the grab, put him at the 42. Pickup of 22 and a 1st down.
What a catch and what a hit. Malcolm Floyd even taps out after this one, but boy, as he stand in there and catches that ball, you can see he hit the deck pretty hard after Mark Barron delivered a lift.
Helmet to helmet?
Yeah, oh no, I think he collided right into the shoulder. I think he delivered a shoulder blow, even though it was a hard hit. The officials are right on top of that. You can see he's dazed a bit, Kevin.
B2. Barron is a high pick out of Alabama. 1st and 10 for in the Buccaneers secondary. Rivers. He's not much of a runner, as you see. Gain of 4 and to the 46-yard line. Tap right there by Miller. Let's go to New York and James Brown.
Cincy on the Giants case early, Dan. And Andy Dalton looking for Andrew Hawkins, 11-yard touchdown. 2 possessions for Cincinnati, 2 touchdowns, 14-0 over the Giants. I wonder if Solomon is surprised by that. Back to Kevin Harlan and Solomon Wilcots.
Not too surprised, JB, but we'll have to see how it finishes. They always start fast and finish slow.
2nd down and 6. Matthews wrapped up. Reel down. No gain on the play. Some big-time hitting, and it came that time from the secondary, and Mark Barron, who is the 7th pick overall.
Well, it's the 3rd time the Chargers have attempted to run the ball so far this game. It's the only time they've had a gain. They gained 4 yards on the play, but only 4 rushing yards to show. 3rd and 6 in a passing situation. What Phillip Rivers wants is he wants to try to get a man-to-man situation. And if they blitz him, he's going to cut it loose quick and try to choose his first and most favorable matchup.
Leachman Royal, bottom of your screen. 5 in the secondary. 3rd and 6. Almost picked off. Nice knock away by the multiple Pro Bowler Rondé Barber. They were going in the middle. I don't know if it was intended for Brown or for Gates. It's incomplete. A flag is down.
They're going to call it, I think, on Black, number 43.
Holding. Defense number 20. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. 1st down.
Highly decorated Rondé Barber picks it up.
I thought Barber was in get position to make a play on the ball, but it's clearly double coverage. Right here, you can see him coming across the screen right there on Gates. And that's where they're going to call the holding. Yes, right there on the backside shoulder. And it was enough to keep Barber into position to make a play on the ball. Can't grab the jersey beyond that 5-yard mark.
Meacham stays in. Back to the base defense. 1st and 10. Hardwick, a good block at the center, going deep for Gates. The catch is made. He's at the 16-yard line. He's working on the rookie Barron. A big-time pickup of 33. 1st and 10 Chargers.
Oh, it starts with protection up front for Phillip Rivers. They believe they can make plays downfield against this Buccaneers secondary all day long. As long as the protection holds up for Phillip Rivers, you're going to see throws like this, and you're going to see catches like that one made by Antonio Gates. Phillip Rivers has begun this game red hot, and so has this Chargers offense.
Another 1st and 10 out of the 16-yard line. McMichael is in with Rosario, the 2 tight ends for San Diego. Matthews on a plain block. And a tackle after a gain of 3 made by Leonard Johnson down to the Buccaneer 13.
Well, the Buccaneers are not getting good penetration against the run plays, and they're not getting penetration in the backfield to force Phillip Rivers to have to move his feet when he goes to throw the football. You've got to crowd Phillip Rivers. I think both of these quarterbacks are very similar. Not real mobile guys. They want to play from the pocket. You can get pressure in their face. They tend to be less accurate.
And Freeman probably the more mobile of the two.
Absolutely.
Ronnie Brown is in. 2nd down and 7. That's the defensive back. Here's the next Lewis. To the end zone. Caught for a touchdown. Antonio Gates. On the game broken on rookie Mark Barron. 13-yard strike. And the Chargers back on top.
Make it 4 consecutive games where Antonio Gates has had a receiving touchdown. Just when people tend to want to write him off, look, he'll just go right down the middle of the defense. The linebackers don't get deep enough. Barron can't close in coverage. He's expecting the linebackers to get deeper. They were biting on the play-action fake from Phillip Rivers. So it was a well-constructed play to get the touchdown to Antonio Gates.
Novak with the extra point. 2 possessions for the Chargers and 2 touchdown passes by Rivers. Floyd caught one on that drive for 22. Gates for 33. And then Gates in the end zone on a 13-yard leaper. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, the USO, and the Wounded Warriors Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. The touchdown pass of 13 yards. Rivers to Gate, the 53rd time they have connected. Number 1 in pro football history between a quarterback and a tight end for Gates. His 80th touchdown reception, 4th of the year, and 1 more to match the great Lance Allworth all-time in Charger touchdown reception history. Rivers on that drive, Solomon, 4 of 4. Laquan Lewis off the practice squad Tuesday. Hit by Lynch and brought down. Nice special teams play by Lynch. He's playing now some safety. 10-yard return. Freeman back out there, down by 7. First time he was out there, threw a 3-yard touchdown pass to Dallas Clark.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Outback Steakhouse. It's always fresh in the Outback. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Beautiful Clearwater Beach. Buccaneers get it for a 2nd time. Boy, Solomon, they average a lot of points a game, over 28 a game this season.
Oh, and they've had 28 points or more, the Buccaneers have, in each of their last 4 games. This is an offense that's been red hot, led by their quarterback, Josh Freeman.
Tari Bigby is back in there, by the way, at safety. Lynch played the last possession defensively. 1st and 10. Look at the battering ram. Doug Martin, 9-yard run, and right into the teeth of the defense, and he's up to the 18-yard line.
Well, it's Doug Martin, Josh Freeman, Vincent Jackson. That's why they're 3-1 in their last 4 games. It's been a complete turnaround here in Tampa over their last 4 games. They have 36 points per game, which leads the NFL during that time span, and over 1,900 yards of total offense. And as we told you, over 400 yards on offense in each of their last 4 games. Their ability to run it and pass it, I think, makes them a formidable group.
Ray, Reyes, and Thomas on the defensive line for San Diego, 2nd down and 1. Good block by Knox in the right tackle. Oh, and they had Williams. Looked like he got tangled up there with Jammer. It's incomplete. Right at the 46-yard line. 3rd and 1 coming up.
Oh, small windows exist in NFL defenses. I think this was a good throw. Now, if you just launch, go with both arms, but you can see the back arm was being held by Jammer, and that's why Williams is complaining. He wanted to be able to lunge for that ball with 2, but Jammer had 1 tied behind his back. He could only reach out with 1 hand.
What's your thought on that Charger secondary overall?
I think they're vulnerable at times, particularly at the cornerback spot. They tend to close off the middle of the field, leaving their corners exposed on the perimeter.
3rd down and 1. There's a good block by Meredith at the right guard. They go down the middle. Jammer was watching Williams. That was the tight end, and Bigby was kind of on him. That was Luke Stocker. 3 and out now for the Buccaneers on their 2nd possession.
Oh, we told you, neither guy wants to really run it. Neither guy is particularly good at throwing the ball. We talk about if you force them to move their feet, Kevin, they tend to be a little less accurate. You saw it on that play from Freeman. He tried to get it over to Mike Williams and overthrows his intended receiver.
Buchanan, who was signed as a free agent from the Falcons a year ago, is to punt, and deep back will be Eddie Royal. A hamstring issue, did not play against the Chiefs 10 days ago on that Thursday night. 3 and out. Royal. And they let that baby bounce, and then Lewis will down at about the 39-yard line. That's where Rivers and his offense, which has been dynamite so far, will start off. We're in the first quarter. 3:07. 2 short San Diego drives, 2 touchdown passes by Rivers. He told us yesterday, Solomon, because of the defense that Tampa Bay presents, it's not the kind of defense that you can have long extended drives against.
They came in concerned about the Buccaneers front 7. He felt that they can get behind the secondary, and he's proven it, but he says we don't want to count on getting long drives. We want big plays and yards by the chunks. And boy, has he gotten it.
Begins this drive after the punt by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 41st and 10. Ryan Matthews. Vasquez trying to offer a block. Alexander did. The tackle is made in the linebacking core by Mason Foster. Gain of 6 to the 46.
It's been a game of big plays, Kevin. We've seen it from Phillip Rivers to Denario Alexander. A 80-yard catch and run for a touchdown, then a 40-yard scamper after Freeman ducks it off to Doug Martin. This is a 33-yard strike from Rivers to Gates, setting up the 13-yard touchdown pass to Gates, and we have a 14-7 lead. You can see 4 plays so far of 20 yards or more in the game, and I'm sure there's more to come.
2 tight ends, 2nd down and 4. Matthews, devoured. Michael Bennett, loss of a yard, back to the 45.
Now this is what they talked about, being concerned about the front 7. They're very active for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, very stout at the point of attack. But the Chargers want to run enough to keep them honest, to force those safeties, either Rondé Barber or Mark Barron, to drop in the box. That's why they're going to get the single coverage on the outside. Matthews is going to have to keep hammering it, but you can see the Tampa Bay defense, they forced 45 run plays into negative gains, the most in the NFL. Very typical defense to run on.
The first time today, 6 in the secondary for Tampa Bay. Royal is in as the 3rd wide receiver, 3rd down and 5. Brown dancing the clock. He gets by Lewis. He has to just squirm his way to the sideline, losing a yard. No one throws behind the line of scrimmage more than Phillip Rivers. Hoping to exchange that for a big gain. They got a punt.
But watch how they push the pocket. You collapse, you see some penetration. He has to get rid of it quick. Everyone, look at all the red jerseys around Ronnie Brown. They know he's the 2nd leading receiver for this offense. They know he's a safety blanket to try to rescue the quarterback on 3rd down.
Top 6 punter Mike Cyphers will punt. Deep back is former Bill Oscar Parrish. With a little bit of a breeze inside the stadium today. Will it stick? Volleyball? Not quite. Nice play, though, by Darryl Stuckey out of Kansas, who comes in there and tries to save it. 57-yarder, touchback to the 20. Well, tonight, there are more than 3 million jobs open in America today. How's that possible? 60 Minutes finds out where some of the very best of them are. That's tonight on CBS. So the Buccaneers had a nice opening drive, getting a 3-yard touchdown pass to the tight end Clark. Last possession, Solomon, 3 and out.
Yeah, he wants to try to get the ball, I'm sure, to Vincent Jackson. I love the way Vincent Jackson spoke very positively about his 7 years with the San Diego Chargers. We'll tell you more about that later.
He paid a lot of tribute to the coach, Turner, and to the quarterback, Rivers. 1st and 10. Freeman hit by Butler, who brings him down. Loss and a sack back to the 15-yard line, a loss of 5. Butler comes right through. 2nd sack of the season.
Oh, Butler is working over on the right side against Donald Penn. You'll see him working, coming right over here. There he is, just collapsing the pocket and getting to Freeman. We told you neither quarterback was particularly mobile, and so they know where the launch point is for each quarterback. You know where to find them. They don't extend plays by running around. Should be a big day for the defense if they want to get pressure on either quarterback.
On 2nd down and 15, this is Martin swerving and then belted on the play by Corey Leggett. He's had a couple sacks last handful of games. It's a gain of 3, and he's up to the 17-yard line.
Well, the Chargers do come in here with the 4th-ranked run defense. They've been pretty good at swallowing up runners. You can see North Turner's got all kind of anxiety over there. He knows it's going to be a long day. trying to stop this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. This is just the beginning. They're going to have to produce more points on offense.
Rivers with 2 touchdown passes. Freeman with the touchdown pass. End of the first. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, as we start the second quarter, we know that 2 of the 3 most productive offensive days in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history have come within the past 3 games offensively.
And last week, over 500 yards total offense, 278 rushing. That set a team record. So you're getting a look at maybe one of the best offenses the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has ever had.
Freeman looking into the nickel. 3rd and 12. There's a good block by Zutak. Going deep, Mike Williams. Jammer with the tackle. Coming from behind, big-time gain to the San Diego 27. It's a haul-in of 55 yards and a first down.
Can't say enough about the patience of Josh Freeman. He was waiting for Williams to make his move on the left side of your screen. Look how he stands in the pocket and delivers a rainbow to a streaking Williams working against Quentin Jammer, trying to elude the safety, Eric Weddle. This offense is on the move now.
First down and 10. Tyquan Underwood tackled on the play by Gilchrist in the secondary. It's a gain of 7 to the Charger 21.
And we asked Greg Schiano what has happened to this team over the last 4 weeks, and he just kind of looked at me. He says, hey, you know, there's nothing big. There's just subtle things. He said when you put in the work over time, the great things happen all of a sudden. And I love the way that he phrased it. He just said this is what they had expected. It just has finally come together because he believed his team and the players have put in the work to yield these type of results.
It's 2nd down and 3. Good block by the right tackle, Dotson. They were looking for the fullback, Eric Lorig, out of Stanford, a California native, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Well, they built this team, Kevin, has Greg Schiano, to be the type of team that can win the fight over the long haul. He knows they're going to put up some numbers. Yeah, it's great to have those explosive moments, but this team is built to win those long, hard fights over the course of 4 quarters within a football game and over the course of a 16-game season.
Now, what is interesting is that Freeman has only completed about 55% of his passes. That's fewer, that percentage, than all but one other offense in the NFL.
But that's because they're going down the field with those throws. This is not a dink or dunk offense. Wow.
On the 3rd and 3 is some drama right there. The tackle made by Legent. The carry by former Giant DJ Ware. They lose on the play. 1.
Oh, it was supposed to be a direct snap to DJ Ware. Ware just bobbled it. And Freeman was sort of acting, if you will, as if the ball went over his head. See there? And the ball nearly went over both of their heads.
Here comes Connor Barth. He had made 25 consecutive field goals going back to last year, coming into this season. But he's made just 4 of his last 8. Here is a 40-yarder. Right down the middle. 40-yard field goal, the big play. They got Williams on a rainbow pass of 55 yards. Underwood caught one for 7. Barth from 40. New score, 12:52 in the second. Buccaneers a season ago, 4-12, but a much more confident group, and their quarterback is probably the face of the organization and showing that more than any other player.
Oh, look at him. He's having fun playing again. He talked about Schiano breathing life back into his game, and you know he was upset after the 4-11 season last year, the changing the coaching staff. He said, I couldn't do anything about it. So what I did is I decided to work on something I could change. He went out and lost some 25 pounds and changed his outlook and his approach to how he plays the game today.
He told us on Friday, I lost a 6th grader. Or no, a 6-year-old. I lost a 6-year-old. There's Brinkley. And he chugs up past the 20. He's hit on the play by Laquan Lewis, an undrafted kid out of Tennessee. 23-yard return. And coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest news, scores, and highlights on this week in the NFL. All coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report from our CBS studios in New York. Rivers with a couple of touchdown passes, a catch and run of 80. Alexander, a 13-yarder to Gates. Chargers on top.
And now the concern, I think, is that if you're the Chargers, you tend to be a little bit one-dimensional, putting it all on Phillip Rivers to throw you into winning a game. They're going to have to establish some kind of run balance against this #1 ranked run defense for the Bucs.
First and 10. Yep, put down. Foster got him. Mason Foster out of the University of Washington, the second leading tackler. It is the first set. They bounce him back at the 18.
And there you have it. You can see this defense is starting to crank up. The inability to run the ball against this defense, they can bring everyone. They bring the linebacker Foster. They're blitzing linebackers. And remember, Jared Gaither's out at left tackle, Mike Harris in. Whenever Gaither's in, they tend to play so much better as an offensive line. And this is going to be a ravenous group for the Buccaneers. You drop back and throw it on every single down, it's going to be tough to protect Phillip Rivers.
Gaither, by the way, has been inactive 4 of 8 games, including 3 weeks ago, now today. Second down and 14. Rivers doesn't like what he sees, and he calls a timeout. That's the first. He burns our second quarter clock at 12:02. Rivers 2 touchdown passes. The visiting Chargers on top by 4.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by USAA. Seldom have so few words inspired so much gratitude. To all who have taken this oath to serve, thank you. The Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here. And by the all-new Honda Accord. It starts with you.
Well, the Chargers playing some catch-up in the AFC West. They're a game behind Denver. They've already lost to the Broncos, so it's a little bit more in that division, the AFC West. They must now play 3 teams with winning records, so it's going to be tough for this Charger team.
Yeah, this is a team that got off to a 3-1 start and then lost 3 in a row and then beat Kansas City last week. So they've got to develop some consistency in the win column.
After the Charger timeout, second and 14. This is Ronnie Brown. He's really been a nice addition to this offense. He picks up 5 as he wheels his way around. Levante David, a rookie out of Nebraska, makes the stop at the 23.
Yeah, Ronnie Brown's found new life in this Norv Turner offense. Loves playing with Phillip Rivers. I asked him why was the Chargers the right team for him in free agency. It was all about the system employed by Norv Turner. Wanted to play with the quarterback. He had embraced this role as a third down back. And now he's the team's second leading receiver. I think it was a huge find. He's probably the best of their offseason free agent signings.
So you like the attention to detail that Turner brought to the offense. Here's a 3rd and 9. Right on the screws. It's caught by Alexander. He's got the first down. The nickelback was in. That was Black who makes the stop. 14-yard pickup to the 37.
All right, Alexander's provided a number 2 weapon. Opposite of Malcolm Floyd for Phillip Rivers. He's a big target. We already told you that. You already seen he can create yards after the catch. Also want to point out, Ronnie Brown did a good job of picking up the blitzer and pass protection. That's what allowed Rivers to deliver the strike to Alexander downfield.
4 defensive backs, first and 10. Here they come up the middle with McCoy going deep for Gates, knocked away by Barron at the 24. And I see yellow on the field across the way.
One official didn't think it was pass interference. The other did. But the problem is Barron never looks back for the ball. Rivers underthrows this ball. Look, Barron's beat. You get it over the top, it's going to be a touchdown. But see, Barron never looked back for the ball. But did he interfere? Was there some contact as the ball arrived? Absolutely. But that's the time where I think you can hit him. In my mind, I think you've got to pick this flag up. I'm not so sure they will.
Defensive pass interference. Check it out.
There you go.
Yep, you called it.
And the reason why is because, luckily for Barron, his timing's right. Watch the contact. Boom, right there as the ball arrives. So that's not pass interference. You can make contact, you just can't interfere with the tight end, in this case, with Gates' ability to catch the ball. And his timing, in terms of that contact, was just as the ball arrived.
Barron was a 2-time team captain for the 2-time national champion Alabama Crimson Tide. 3rd leading tackler on this team. 7th overall pick, as we've told you. He's a good one, and boy, does he have his hands full with Gates.
And if you're sitting at home and you're blaming Barron or the officials, just say, hey, Phillip Rivers, if you throw the ball over the top, that's going to be a touchdown to Gates.
On 2nd down and 10, Ryan Matthews. From behind, getting him, Leonard Johnson. It is a gain of 5 to the 42 as we take you to our CBS studios.
Drew Brees trying single-handedly, yes, to bring his team back, and he did. Drew Brees to Jimmy Graham. This extends his own record of 52 straight games with a touchdown pass, 14-10, New Orleans up. That was an 11-play, 90-yard drive back to Kevin Harlan and Solomon Wilcox.
I was down in New Orleans for the Monday night broadcast, and this Graham just is dominating at that tight end position.
He's like a receiver. He's just a big guy catching the ball over little guys. What a weapon.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 5 for Phillip Rivers. Chased by David. Outside, Brown, and stood up and taken back. Hit initially by rookie Leonard Johnson. Loss of 3 on the play. Back to the 38, they got a punt.
Levante David, watch, 54 coming in, providing the pressure in the face of Phillip Rivers. They said they wanted to crowd the pocket. They said they wanted to force Rivers to move his feet. When the quarterback is on the run, it's hard to go deep. He has to just dump that one off. You can see Rivers having some conversation with Norv Turner. I think he wished he had a second opportunity to throw that ball over the top to Antonio Gates.
Yes. Oh, it was blocked. It was blocked on the play, then picked up with the ball. Adam Hayward, that is a touchdown. Blocked by Dakota Watson.
Oh, they get that cannon going, and you can see the punters down on the play. Well, they brought the corner off the edge. They brought as many people as they can, and they screwed up the count on punt protection. What you're going to see, they're going to come in from this side here, and then they come right up the middle. And so once he fans out, and that's what allowed Watson to come in and block it.
And then look at Adam Hayward from Westminster, California, to scoop it up and take it in. Cypress is down. Special team fireworks for the Buccaneers. 8:55 in the second. Cypress has walked off, as you can see, under his own power, but I think they're going to take him. They're going to take him back of the bench and do another checkup, maybe even to the locker room. The block was by Dakota Watson. The return was by Hayward. Now the extra point following here by Connor Barth. Special teams have been somewhat of an issue for the Buccaneers, but really on field goals. This one was blocked. Blocked by Watson, returned by Hayward, and the Buccaneers have a lead.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by Kay Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with Kay.
Still looking at Cypress. We're back in 2010. Cypress had 4 punts blocked. They had a couple returns. They fired the special teams coach. Here was a block punt right there. You can see the note that Pat McGrath, their statistician, has supplied.
And this is why I think the Chargers struggle to win games. They don't manufacture points in other ways. And Corey Lynch was the guy, the end man on the punt protection, who allowed Watson to leak through to block the punt.
Brinkley in the back of the end zone is going to leave it right there. Another touchback, and so another beginning from the 20-yard line for San Diego. Well, folks, help victims of disasters like Superstorm Sandy. Text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. We all care. CBS cares.
Kevin, we were making that point about how the Chargers play football. It's a quarterback-driven league. This is a quarterback-driven team. It's all on Phillip Rivers. Remember, over the last 8 years, this offense in San Diego has averaged 25 points a game, by far most in the NFL. But championships have been hard to come by because they don't manufacture points via special teams or on the defensive side of the ball.
Matthews on 1st and 10, finding a hole. Barron makes the tackle, jumping on his back. It's a gain of 10, a burst to the 30. A first down coming up as we now go to New York and James.
Hall of Famer to be Tony Gonzalez with the record. Yeah, JB, Matt Ryan, 2-yard touchdown to Tony Gonzalez, his 100th touchdown of his career. He's the first tight end to reach that number, 17-14 Atlanta. Solly, I would imagine he's a beast to cover. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcox.
Yeah, those big body tight ends are tough to cover. That's why they're putting up huge numbers. We got one in this game, and Antonio Gates.
And he wants to retire. Gonzalez wants to retire at the end of the season. First and 10, handoff to Matthews. Corkscrewing his way for a gain of 3. Teo Nesai makes the stop on the defensive line. He's up to the 33.
Oh, this is how you slow down that pass rush we saw in the previous possession, getting after Phillip Rivers. In my mind, Ryan Matthews has to begin to take over this game. He's got to take some pressure off his quarterback. You can't be so reliant on Phillip Rivers every single week to carry this offense. They used the first-round pick on Matthews, and he's got to use that talent to help this football team.
Second down and 7. Matthews drilled 36-yard line, hitting him right there. This is Levante David, who is the Big Ten linebacker of the year. Led Nebraska in tackles 2 straight years. Pick up a 4 right there.
Watch this tackle, Kevin. As soon as he made contact, bam, man down. And he didn't wait for gang tackling. He didn't wait for help for other defenders. At 6'1", 233, great leverage in his attack on the ball carrier and not allowing yards after contact. Now they force the 3rd and 3. Be careful of the running back, Ronnie Brown, catching this ball coming out of the backfield.
6 in the secondary, 3rd down and 3 for Rivers. Royal stiff arms his way into E.J. Biggers. It's a catch and run to the 50. It's a first down. He picks up 13, and a Charger first down throw by Phillip.
With pressure all over Phillip Rivers. Ronnie Brown tries to stay in and protect, but watch just too many to block. Ronnie Brown misses on Rondé Barber, but Phillip Rivers whips it out over to Eddie Royal, who makes an appearance in today's game after spending some time on the inactive list.
Local time for the San Diego Chargers. This baby kicked off at 10 a.m. Pacific time. They flew out here on Friday, and they've had to deal with this too over the handful of years, certainly, that Norv and Phillip Rivers have been there. First and 10 from midfield. Slams a pass, and it's caught by Rosario. That baby had some serious gas on it. Barber was there covering. The linebacker David was in pursuit. It's a gain of 11 on the play.
This is now Phillip Rivers' 11th completion to 7 different receivers. He's spreading it around. What did Norv Turner tell us? If we can protect Phillip Rivers, and if we get open, we'll make big plays and we'll put up big numbers. But I think they have to start talking about how to win games differently. Yes, you need production from your quarterback. How about the defense creating turnovers, putting Rivers on the short field, and playing more complementary football in San Diego?
Brown in the backfield on his first and 10. Brown, Eagles last year before that, 5 years before that in Miami. Brought down on the play, hit by Roy Miller, gain of a yard, and on this drive, a 10-yard run by Matthews, a 13-yard pass to Rivers, an 11-yard pass to Rosario. They began at the 20. Now, Solomon at the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay.
Well, the protection is now holding up. Remember, they started off this drive running the football. They've had good balance. Norv Turner calling the plays. We've had 6 plays on this drive. 3 of them have been run, 3 have been pass plays, and that's how you slow down this pass rush in the front 7 for the Buccaneers.
Bucks in the nickel, second down and 9. Gates, hit by David, finished off by Biggers, and a pickup of 7, and the ball to the 29-yard line of Tampa Bay.
You can see the protection hose up now. When he gets protection, he's getting rid of it. But Gates can't shake the defenders. I think he's going to be just a little bit shy of the first down here. That creates a 3rd and 1 situation, 3rd and 2 against the #1 ranked run defense in the NFL. Do you stick it in the belly of the back and attempt to run this one to extend the drive?
6 defensive backs, 3rd and 2. Caught. Gates tackled by Barber, gain of 4, first down, 25-yard line of Tampa Bay.
So clearly the Chargers understand this is a formidable run defense for Tampa, and they prefer to spread them out and throw it and work the matchup Gates against Barber. Norv Turner's more confident in his ability to move the ball, throwing it against this Bucs defense as opposed to running.
Rivers 13 of 15. He was 18 of 20 against Kansas City 10 days ago.
Only one bad throw in that game resulted in interception. He said, it's the best half I've ever had and the loudest I've ever been booed.
Matthews back there on first down and 10. Ninth play of the San Diego drive. Dragged down by the leading tackler, Levante David, a 3-down linebacker. Gain of 8. Nice one by Matthews.
Well, how about this? They pull the backside guard. There's Vasquez leading it up in there for Matthews. And this is what Matthews has to do. If you want those calls on that play sheet for North Turner to materialize into a productive day on offense, I think it's got to start with Matthews being productive in the running game.
Rivers with a couple touchdown passes today. An 80-yard catch and run by Alexander. More run than throw. 13-yard pass in the end zone to Gates. Freeman has a touchdown pass. And a block punt. Return for a touchdown by Tampa Bay. Second down and 2. Not a whole lot there. That Black jumping around the ball carrier, who was LaRon McClain, only his 10th carry of the season. There was no gain. They remain at the 17.
It was a negative game. That's it. I mean, they have a tough time running the ball against this Bucs defense. And this Bucs defense, as we told you, they force more negative runs of any defense in the NFL. They do a great job of shooting the gas, getting penetration, and blowing up your run game.
Last season, Tampa Bay's defense set a franchise record for points allowed in a season. A different feel this year, a new coach, a new team. They lead by 3. We're at the 2-minute warning as you're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. On the block punt, the punter, Cypress, was really drilled. He is staggering and laboring on the sideline. He is the holder on extra points and field goals. If he can't go, it's Eric Weddle as the backup in that regard. They were trying to practice some over there, and Cypress looked like he couldn't even breathe.
Can't hold the ball?
I don't know.
We're not asking him to punt it. Just hold it.
Right. Well, it's 3rd and 2.
Okay.
We'll see what happens right here at the 18-yard line of Tampa Bay. That's McMichael in motion. Here comes David. Here comes Foster. That's caught by Floyd out of bounds. And he has the first down on 3rd and 2. Knew just how much he needed. The scrambling Rivers extends the play. Gain of 5. Move the chains.
Floyd's going to come clear from this side of the field. You can see him. And watch how Phillip Rivers just extending the play with a little bit of mobility. We say they didn't have a lot of mobility, but his ability to buy some time there allowed Floyd to get open for the first down.
Chargers with a double timeout. As you see atop your screen, 1st and 10. Bennett was blocked. Matthews catches. Black makes the stop. He lunges his way near the 6, and he picks up 8 on that first down play.
You know what makes Rivers so good? He doesn't need a great deal of mobility. His ability there, though, to climb the pocket. He didn't drift back, or it would have been a sack. Watch him get coming downhill, pressing the line of scrimmage. Had he went back further, he would have been sacked by that flying defensive end you saw going across your screen there. His ability to come back to the line of scrimmage, you can see on this drive, 7-7 for 52 yards.
Second down and 2. And down close to the 2 before the avalanche of defenders come in there and plug that up. It's a gain of 3. They'll mark him at the 3. Off the bottom of the pile, Roy Miller. He's out of Texas. Well, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Bill Cowher was down here in Tampa doing a little report, a feature on the Buccaneers. Hope you had a chance to see that in our pregame show, the NFL Today.
Great job dissecting this Buccaneers football team.
How about that drive over 8 minutes? 1st and goal at the 3. Rivers has just thrown his 3rd touchdown pass. Malcolm Floyd, a 3-yard reception. And San Diego is back on top.
E.J. Biggers allowed the receiver to get inside of him. And once he gets across your face, a big target like Malcolm Floyd, you're not going to be able to keep him from catching this ball. Look at this laser from Phillip Rivers. He's too big, he's too tall, and the ball is coming too fast for Biggers to do anything about it.
Floyd lassos his third touchdown of the year. Yep, Cypress is going to hold on the extra point. And it is true. Novak bangs it in. Nice looking drive, over 80 minutes. Their third 80-yard touchdown drive today. Rivers' his third touchdown pass. It's all San Diego now. Nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB. Tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Rivers, the 3 touchdown passes. He just hit Floyd. He's also hit Alexander and Gates. 3 first-half 80-yard drives. Back and forth we've gone. The last 6 quarters for Phillip Rivers, he is 34 of 38. And he's thrown 1 pick, and he's thrown 5 touchdowns in that time.
He's got to play near perfect for his team to have a shot at winning.
Here's the ensuing kickoff. And they'll leave it in the end zone with Laquan Lewis. And let's go to the untold story in the NFL.
Kevin, how about coaches who made successful transitions from college to pro? Jimmy Johnson spent 9 years as a head coach at Oklahoma State and Miami before winning a pair of Super Bowls. And then Tom Coughlin was head coach at Boston College before he won a Super Bowl with the Giants. And Jim Harbaugh stops at San Diego and Stanford, preceded his current job with the 49ers. And Greg Schiano, what did he tell us? He noted that more assistants and coordinators at the pro level fail at becoming head coaches in the NFL than college coaches trying to make that transition. He built a juggernaut at Rutgers before taking this job here in Tampa.
First down and 10, and with 3 timeouts. It's a handoff, which is quickly foiled. Legion in there all over Doug Martin. No gain on the play. They remain at the 20. Schiano, 11 seasons as you see it at Rutgers in the top 25. Got to number 6 back in 06. Former Bucknell linebacker. He spent most of his coaching career on the defensive side. Remember, they really wanted Chip Kelly of Oregon here first, and then it gotten kind of crossways with him. And so then they went to this guy, and that is going to be the last play of the first half, even with timeouts on the board. Rivers, 3 first-half touchdown passes. A block punt by the Bucs and a touchdown pass. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Welcome back to Tampa, Florida, where you see our halftime score. Rivers, the 3 touchdown passes. And how about the Chargers coming on the road? Both teams at 4-4. And the Chargers playing so well all the way across the country.
I think it starts with the ball control offense with Phillip Rivers. Yes, they have produced big plays, but they've held the ball for 20 minutes in the first half, reeling off far many more plays than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can see the big strike down the field to Malcolm Floyd, getting it down the field to Antonio Gates. Rivers has 3 touchdown passes in the first half of this ball game. So he has really been on fire. 33 offensive plays for the San Diego Chargers, only 19 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can see both teams have produced some big plays on offense. And really, the Buccaneers have been aided by a block punt and a return for a touchdown to help get some points on the board so far, Kevin.
Four and 4 is the record for both these ball clubs. A 1-3 start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they've won 3 of 4. San Diego start just the opposite. They were 3-1, then lost 3 in a row. Then 10 days ago had the nice win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and they carry that on into the Gulf Coast today. The flip of the coin, remember, was won at the beginning of the game by the Buccaneers. They deferred, and so now San Diego will kick off to begin things here in the second half. And Laquan Lewis will retrieve that. Touchback to the 21st down and 10.
Okay, the Buccaneers have to get something going on offense. Josh Freeman got to bring this offense out of hibernation and be able to convert drives into points. They came in, of course, averaging over 400 yards total offense into today's game. And you can see they've scored on that first possession, going 80 yards in 9 plays, but then a punt, had to settle for a field goal, and then, of course, had one at the end of the half. So really only 3 real opportunities in terms of possessions in the first half of the game.
Couple injuries for San Diego. We'll update here in a second. First down and 10. And this is Vincent Jackson, who's been pretty quiet. Butler was right there. Weddle was right there. Gain of 5 up to the 25. Ingram questionable with the knee. Franklin is out with a knee on the defensive line of San Diego.
This is only Vincent Jackson's 3rd catch of the game. And we talked to Vincent Jackson. He had wonderful things to say about his former team and thanked Norv Turner. He was able to blossom under Norv Turner's tutelage and thanked Phillip Rivers. Said he really wanted to go into this game like a pro. Strip the game of the emotion and just play it like it was any other game. I find that hard to believe, though, Kevin.
Well, he's had a career year so far. Second down and 5. Good time for Freeman. Here comes Thomas. And that may have been tipped off, or was it re-grabbed by Jackson? It was.
Jackson took it away from him.
Kaysen was right there. It's an 11-yard pickup, and it is a Tampa Bay first down. Yeah, fighting away at the 36-yard line. He grabs it and takes it away.
Wow. Freeman. He needs to thank Vincent Jackson for saving him on this one. While under pressure, that ball looks like, look, intercepted, one hand. That constitutes what we call a simultaneous catch, which means tie goes to the offensive player.
Hold on. Don't say that in the NFL this year with what happened up in Seattle on that Monday night.
I think we have a better definition now as a result of that Monday night game.
And maybe some very sharp eyes. First down and 10. Here is Martin slithering up the middle, kind of falling on his own accord. It's a gain of 6. He's up to the 41.
Yeah, I think if you're the Buccaneers, got to start to heat up Doug Martin in this game, because I believe if you can get the run game going, you do have to pick your poison. We saw it on that first possession. 9 plays, 80 yards on the drive. They sprinkled the ball around, but they got Doug Martin going. Saw passes caught by Vincent Jackson, then the touchdown to Dallas Clark.
Second down and 5. This is Martin. And after a gain of 4, and it looked like maybe Sean Phillips is the one to get him, and Jarrett Johnson there as well, making the stop, and they'll put him, Solomon, at the 44-yard line on the first drive to open the second half.
What did Doug Martin tell us? He said it started to click for him after the bye week. He said he went back to Boise, where he attended college. He said he had a moment of reflection where he just kind of spent time thinking about how he wanted to play. He said no more hesitation, just relax, go out and play ball, be aggressive and attack the defense. And boy, has he done so over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's in October, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month. 3rd and 2. That was caught. Kaysen was defending, and the ball was grabbed by Williams. He has a first down reception to the 47-yard line. It's a gain of 9.
Doug Martin, the reason why he's so good, Kevin, he's got good vision and good instincts. Look, he doesn't follow the fullback into that tight hole there. No, he sees greater daylight going to the backside. So that's what we talk about vision, the peripheral vision. Then you see the instinct and speed once he gets to the second level. Tough guy to get to the ground. 251 yards rushing last week and 4 rushing touchdowns, setting a team record as a rookie.
First down and 10. Martin again out of Boise State. Weddle has got him around the leg, as you can see, and it's a gain of 3 to the 44-yard line. He has, as Shiano says, he has great vision. You were just talking about that right there. But that means a lot. It's patience. It's scanning all areas. I mean, there's a lot there when you say that just that one word, vision.
Whenever you get 486 total yards of offense in the last 2 games, your name is next to guys like O.J. Simpson and Jim Brown. Yeah, that is saying a lot. You better have more than just good vision. You better have instincts to be able to feel the hole before it materializes, then the acceleration to hit it.
Second down and 7. Boy, he was drilled by Kaysen. Martin makes the grab. The rush on the wing came from Ingram, who's back in the contest. Even with the bad knee, a gain of 1 to the 42.
Oh, you can hear this one.
Feel it.
That's a body rattler.
That is.
Tough kid. Able to bounce up and shake it off.
Is he a Ray Rice? Is he an Emmett Smith? Just in body type and kind of his running style, have you been able to kind of classify him yet?
I'm going to give him the Ray Rice pick. I think that's a large ascension when we talk about Emmitt Smith, the all-time leading rusher. But there are similarities there.
3rd and 6. He was trying to go in. Chandler was there, and they were aiming that one right at Chris Owusu, who is a rookie out of Stanford. It's incomplete, and they got to punt the ball. Punt.
Yeah, they're going to have to punt it. But look, I thought this one's going to be intercepted. Look at this. Jammer's in great position. And if Owusu doesn't get a hand up to knock it down, Jammer's probably going to intercept it. Got to fight for position, get across the face of the defender if you're Owusu, and then you've got to be able to make that catch when the quarterback trusts you.
Owusu was at Stanford. He was catching the balls of Andrew Luck. Now with the Cardinal, here's the punt. Royal is going to die inside the 5. How about that? Quan Lewis leaps on the ball. Beautiful punt by Michael Keenan out of Western Washington. A 40-yard, well-placed punt. 10-12 in the third. Here comes Rivers and San Diego. Veterans Day, celebrating all over the NFL, all over the country today. Hey, Rivers has hit his last 9 passes to close the first half. He's been hot. On the 2, 1st and 10. After the punt by Tampa Bay. Along McClain, dragging up the middle. And stopped on the play by the linebacker Mason Foster. It is a gain of 7 up to the 8.
Look at the numbers Phillip Rivers is putting up. In his last 6 quarters of play, only 4 incompletions, forced the 1 interception, 5 touchdowns. You know, he told us, we talked about his relationship with Vincent Jackson. He says, I miss him. But from those numbers, it sure doesn't look like it.
McCoy, along with Barber, stop him just shy of a first down, perhaps up near the 12-yard line. So we'll find out how that spot goes and if they've got some breathing space.
There it is, first down for the Chargers.
I was looking first half resume for San Diego.
Oh, you get 5 possessions and 3 of them result in touchdowns. They only went 3 and out 1 time against this formidable Bucs run defense. And despite the lack of balance, Phillip Rivers has carried the day, even though they haven't run the ball particularly well.
Rivers has thrown those 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Here's a first down and 10. Going deep, and he's looking for Floyd, who is stride for stride with the Iowa State rookie Leonard Johnson. Incomplete. To get the latest news, analysis, and predictions from Pat Kerwin and Pete Prisco and other CBS Sports experts, watch Pro Football 360 live weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern or on demand at cbssports.com/Pro Football 360. Second down and 10. With 2 tight ends, McMichael and Gates. Matthews blocked by Green before they slipped right by him. That's the rookie again, slipping through. Levante David. He throws Matthews for a loss of 3, back to the 9.
You can play good run defense when your linebackers are also instinctive. Just like a ball carrier, they've got to be able to find and hit the hole. Look at 54. Look, coming downhill, gets across the face of the would-be blocker on the offensive line. They will get into the backfield and create yet another negative run play for this defense. Wow.
Ronnie Brown has come in. We got 6 in the Tampa Bay secondary. 3rd and 13. They need the 23. What a day, 3rd down passing for Rivers. And over the reach and wide for the receiver, Denario Alexander. Rivers was decked, 4th and 13. Cypress was hit the last time. He's got a punt again, it looks like.
Rivers not going to get caught holding this ball near his end zone. If you're going to throw it, overthrow it. And yeah, and that's how you do it. Squeeze the receiver out of bounds. Don't leave any room for him to make that catch.
Well, we know he's not 100%, but he's back there to punt. Cyphers the last time had a block return for a touchdown. Roscoe Parrish was deep down. He's off a high hanging one. Nice job. Number 36, Roscoe Parrish. Weddle brings him down. 4-yard return also hit by Larry English. He hobbles off. 55-yard punt. Here come the Buccaneers. We're in the 3rd. 7.5 to play, and they trail
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
After the Chargers crunch, some pretty good beginning field position here for Freeman and the Buccaneer offense.
Let's see if the Bucs can take advantage of it now that they're close to plus territory.
The rookie Martin up the middle, hit by Weddle and others, and he carves his way up to about the 44, picking up 3. And Martin, of course, coming off that historic day in Oakland for the Buccaneers last week.
Yeah, he's had his moments running and catching the ball here today. This is one of his first carries of the game, breaking tackles and getting positive gains. This was a 40-yard catch and run. So he's had his moments where he's been able to gash this defense, whether it's running or catching the ball. I think providing a viable option for his quarterback. He's a tough one who gets better as the game goes on.
Second down and 7. Grabbed on the play by Phillips on the outside, and a gain of 6. A burst to the 50. That'll be about a yard shy of a first down.
Greg Schiano, he talked about building a team that can play over the long haul. We're starting to get some rain here now, Kevin. So the running game might play more of an important role in this game than you think.
He had to try to change the culture here, didn't he? With Raheem Morris as the coach, things kind of got in disarray, and he's tried to straighten things out.
Well, they lost 10 in a row last year. It felt like they needed some discipline. And boy, has he instilled some discipline. So the guys have gotten on board. Those who didn't, they're no longer here.
Martin on 3rd and 1. He was hit hard. And Jared Johnson, the big free agent from Baltimore, with a nice stop right there. He had a beautiful forced fumble against the Chiefs in the end zone last week.
I think this is going to be good enough to get it. He got a good spot on this one.
He got a very good spot, but I think he's still going to be shy by a couple inches.
You think so?
I do. Now, of course, we're about 4 stories up. I think.
There's Jared Johnson. You're right. He's able to wrap up the legs. Doug Martin.
Johnson making his 89th consecutive start today. He's had some kind of an inconsistent season because they expected so much as he came over from Baltimore. They are short, and they're going to call a timeout.
It looks like Schiano want to challenge the spot.
Yeah.
He's got the red flag out.
Yep, he hadn't thrown it yet.
Question.
He was holding it. He didn't throw it. Now he does, and now they challenge, and here's the play again. Good play by Jared Johnson. Let's see if it was good enough with 5:36 to play in the 3rd. Now we have a challenge by Tampa Bay that their running back, Doug Martin, made a first down on 3rd and 1, and they're looking at the spot right now upstairs.
Now, take a look at it. This ball is going to be spotted just shy of the 49-yard line, but does Martin extend the ball beyond that point? See, right there, that's what Schiano's saying. See, right there, it's on the 49-yard line. But is his knee down before he can extend it even further? I don't think so. I think knee down simultaneously with the arm.
After reviewing the play, ruling on the field stands. Tampa Bay is charged with their first timeout. 4th down.
So 4th and inches here as we're midway through the 3rd. A 3rd quarter, Solomon, where the Buccaneers own a 55-17 scoring advantage. This has been their quarter this season.
I told you, Schiano built this team for the long haul, to win in tough, hard-fought battles within a football game and over the course of a season. And you're right, they tend to play better in the second half, and they build as the game goes on.
Fourth and inches. Even all 6'5" of them. Hurdling for the first, pick up of 4. We'll put them at the 46-yard line of San Diego, and they'll move the chains to the first down.
Freeman has now converted 20 of 20 on these 3rd and 1 situations where he's running the ball, Kevin. And over the course of his career, he's been money on 3rd and 1. And maybe the defense ought to know coming in, hey, he's going to run it because this is what he's done in 3rd and 1 situations over his career. He's converted every single opportunity.
Freeman has thrown it 15 times. They've run the ball 14 times. Nice little balance there. 1st and 10. And he wants to go deep. Vincent Jackson Weather with the stop. Put him at the 15 of the San Diego Chargers on a 31-yard strike and a first down.
This play takes a long time to develop. That means pass protection for Josh Freeman has to be there. And look, they run defenders upfield. He climbs the pocket and drills one down the field to Vincent Jackson, who's now starting to heat up. He's got 5 catches. I think 2 of them have come here in the second half.
We told you to begin the broadcast, Jackson leads the NFL in yards per reception at 23 a catch. That one good for 31. It's first and 10. It's in the right tackle on a good block that opens the door and a touchdown pass to Tyquan Underwood of 15 yards.
Well, we said Josh Freeman had to get something going on this drive, and boy, did he. He and Doug Martin, both running and passing. Look, Underwood coming across, and Bigby, the safety, totally lost sight of the football, ran himself out of the way, and at a poor angle could not make the tackle after Underwood made the catch.
Bucks back on top, third lead change of the game. Extra point here by Connor Barth. Had to punt, and the Buccaneers took over at their 41. They kept the drive alive on a quarterback keeper by the 6'5" Kansas State quarterback, Freeman. Then he hit Jackson for 31, finishing beautifully with a 15-yard strike to Underwood for 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
Josh Freeman is 6'5", 248, more tight end than quarterback, but he's not thrown an interception in over 3.5 games. He just laced one 15 yards to Underwood. He's given his team the lead once again. He had time to throw, and if you look at Pro Football Focus, they'll tell you he has the 9th ranked time in the NFL to throw the ball. Not bad, and he took advantage of it there, Solomon.
He's got a beautiful arm, and he can drive the ball in wind and rain and not have it move 1 inch.
Brinkley watches this skip out. Touch back to the 20 for Rivers, first and 10.
Let's take a look at some of the big-time Charger free agent departures. How about Drew Brees became a Super Bowl MVP after 5 years in San Diego. Michael Turner is averaging 1,300 rushing yards per season in the 4 years with the Falcons. And Darren Sproles set an NFL all-purpose record 2,600 yards in his first season since leaving San Diego. And Vincent Jackson already has set a single-game receiving mark here in Tampa Bay. All 4 players defected via free agency after being drafted and groomed by the San Diego Chargers. Boy, what if they still had those guys? Could you imagine?
A lot of fireworks, that's for sure. A lot more at the disposal of Rivers, who still likes what he has. He's got it now, first and 10. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes today and gives off to Matthews on first and 10. He has a big-time collision that time with linebacker Quincy Black, who is down. Loss of a yard to the 19.
Quincy Black led in with his head. Of course, it was unintended, but boy, he stuffed this play right there. Ooh. See, helmet-to-helmet collision. That's why, of course, you can legislate it out of the game only so much, but not in that case.
There's an injury timeout and 3:52 to play in the third. And the safety protocol followed all over the NFL. And, of course, here in Tampa, Quincy Black, a helmet-to-helmet hit with the running back Ryan Matthews on a simple run over the left side. We'll watch it again.
Yeah, take a look at the top of your screen and see him come in. Boom, there's the helmet-to-helmet collision. Both players received some trauma on the blow delivered by Black on Matthews. There it is right there, the helmet-to-helmet collision.
What is that about keeping your head up, huh? Keeping your head up.
And the NFL has launched an initiative at the lowest levels of football and youth football as well, and that's the name of the campaign. Keep your head up, see what you hit. When you drop your head in, I think it endangers both players, both the defender and the receiver of the blow as well.
Well, we're in Tampa. We have 2 4-4 teams colliding today. The numbers there on Quincy Black, who is been a solid starter for this team this year. A new feel. As Greg Schiano, his back is to us. He's got the black shirt on there, holding on with his to the headset.
And what did Coach Schiano tell us? He says, you know, coaches, all we are teachers. He says it's about building relationships. And he also told us, he said, the players have to know that you care. And so him being out there and tending to his player, of course, he can only do so much. He's got to let the trainers do their job. But he does care about his players on his football team.
Remember when he was at Rutgers, he lost a player, Eric LeGrand, who had the injury to his neck and his spine, confined to a wheelchair and making a valiant recovery, but it's an everyday recovery. And so if anyone knows what a player goes through, one of his players goes through with what he went through at Rutgers with Eric LeGrand, it is Greg Schiano.
And we're, of course, praying for Quincy Black and hoping that he's going to be okay. This is just a precautionary procedure.
Yes.
This is what teams do for everyone. When a player can't get up after that kind of blow, they have to act, and they have to act quickly.
Buccaneers come in having won 3 of 4. And the San Diego Chargers had lost 3, then won 10 days ago against the Chiefs in Southern California. They are 4-4, but now concern is for the player Quincy Black, who is going through something, and we all know that NFL stadiums have the latest in X-ray equipment. They have emergency medics on call, which are now assisting to this player. And thank God, more times than not, when you see situations like this, it is precautionary. But all these players, and it is a brotherhood among these players who make the NFL and play in the NFL, realize that in one play things can change pretty dramatically.
And it reminds you why, you know, I talk to people around the country who are NFL fans, and they say, well, you know, why are they making the game soft? Why are they taking some of these hits out of the game? And this is one of the reasons why. It is for player safety, Kevin. The helmet-to-helmet hits are the ones that, you know, leave players injured, and ones that really, I think, has an effect on players even later in life. So it's the ones they want to try at least as much as possible to get out of the game. Now, this was obviously within the rule of play as he was coming up to make a tackle on a ball carrier, and there was a collision. And as we said, we're going to pray for Quincy Black and hope that he'll be fine.
You saw Ryan Matthews with his helmet off, and he was the one who was running the ball, had the collision, and doesn't seem any worse for the wear, which is kind of the way a lot of these injuries are sometimes. It always seems to be one party that takes it worse than the other, and I think he has moved his extremities. But the players, and we can, Mark, let's get a shot back here and just show the concern from the players in the field from both sidelines in prayer and watching from their respective sidelines. But both sidelines are glued in certainly on what's happening on the field. It depends sometimes if they do the x-rays here or if they take him right to the hospital and do something much more thorough. Quincy Black is the player on the cart and on the board. You see him moving his hands, and that is always obviously a very good sign. And the thumbs up. And when we receive word, you will receive word on his condition. You ever go through anything like that when you played?
No. And, you know, by the grace of God, I think a lot of players, that's why players kneel and they pray after a game, because we know that on any given play, that could be us in that situation. You play hard, you play clean, and you hope that it never happens.
And back we go to the game. Second down and 11. There's a nice block to left tackle. That's caught by Floyd. He's quickly grabbed by the rookie Leonard Johnson. He limits him to a gain of 2, and they'll put him at about the 21-yard line.
Oh, Phillip Rivers, we told you, had an excellent first half to this game. And Malcolm Floyd is already at 2 touchdown receptions in this game. Rivers on third down, he's now 6 of 7. Converted 5 first downs, and he's hit 5 different receivers to do so.
Rivers has thrown 3 touchdown passes. Freeman for the Buccaneers has thrown 2, plus they blocked the Cyphers punt, return that for a TD. Third and 9. 6 in the Buccaneers secondary. And caught. That is good for a first down. Grabbed by Alexander on third and 9. Brings one in. 19-yard gain at the 41. And they'll move the chains.
Make it 7 of 8 now on third down for Phillip Rivers to Alexander. Boy, has he been a find. You can tell. He and Rivers are already clicking. Remember, this was a guy who was a high draft pick for the St. Louis Rams. Found himself off a roster heading into the 2012 season. Gets picked up by San Diego not too long ago, just about a week or so. And now he's already bringing huge production.
He's on first and 10, reeled out of bounds by Mark Barron, and the rookie out of Alabama sends him to the sideline after a gain of 3 to the 43. I have 2 questions. Number 1, how is he on the street that long? And number 2, what was St. Louis thinking?
That is a good question. You know, he had some injury problems coming out of college, had some injury problems to his knees and legs, even with the Rams. But this is the kind of wide receiver that North Turner loved, of the 6'5", 200-plus pound variety, like a Vincent Jackson, to go opposite of Malcolm Floyd.
Second down and 7. Brown was in the backfield. Congested pocket. Caught on the sideline by Royal, run out of bounds, and he picks up only 3 on the play. And that's the thing about San Diego. They've been struggling to find a replacement for Jackson. And how about this? They go to the street and they sign this kid right off the street.
Look at Phillip Rivers. He's like he's stuck in quicksand. The feet won't move. I'll just get rid of it. It's like a loaded hand grenade. You got to get rid of it. Bad things happen when quarterbacks hold on to the football. You know, I think Phillip Rivers loved having Denario Alexander as well. He liked the big-time targets of that size and of that variety. Makes it easy to complete passes. So far, Rivers 3 of 3 on the drive.
Third and 4, 6 in the secondary. And a quick strike. The aforementioned Alexander's got the first down. Hit by a couple, including Ahmad Black. It's a pickup of 6 on third and 4 to the 48-yard line of Tampa Bay.
Phillip Rivers is red hot on third down. This is why. When you have big targets like Alexander and like Floyd on that quick slant, all they have to do is get across the face of the defender, and it makes for an easy throw for Rivers. That's why he trusts Alexander right away. I think the body size, it's like basketball. Box him out the paint so I can complete a pass.
Dakota Watson, by the way, is replacing Quincy Black in the linebacking core, along with Adam Hayward. First and 10. Good block on McCoy, and there's a catch by Floyd on the move in front of Barber to the 29, 19-yard pickup, and a first down, which will conclude the third. Rivers surgically working into the worst pass off defense in the NFL. The Buccaneers are on top of the Chargers by 3. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. In the wake of a Tampa Bay touchdown pass and beginning at his own 20, Phillip Rivers has hit Alexander for 19. He's hit Floyd for 19. They've worked their way to the 29 of Tampa Bay. First play, fourth quarter, first and 10. Matthews with a Gates and a McClain block. And a tackle made by David on a gain of 2 to the 27. Well, a reminder, folks, get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. While on the go, watch live streaming of every touchdown from every game with NFL Network, as well as Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games and NFL Network's 24/7 coverage. Call ** NFL to download or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more.
Now inside, as we get close to the red zones, where Norv Turner like to dial up a pass to Antonio Gates over the middle of the field.
Michael joins him in the backfield on the 2nd down and 8. Matthews belts it out of bounds by Levante David, the linebacker, with the gain of 4 in the pickup and about the 23-yard line.
Well, they used Gates to screen out Levante David, who was in man-to-man coverage against Matthews. It was a great pick. I'm going to call it a screen because the KG veteran knew exactly what he was doing. He needed to block the linebacker to free up Matthews out of the backfield. And I played defense, we hated those plays. We always would screen at the ref for allowing them to throw a pick.
6 defensive backs, Brown in the backfield, 3rd down and 4. Chased by McCoy. Intercepted, he's done it again. Leonard Johnson being chased by Vasquez. He's not going to get him all the way to the house.
It's an all too familiar scene for Phillip Rivers. He knows it. And we're going to have to go back to look to see if Johnson stepped out after making the pick. Careless versus careful. This time he was very careless with the ball. There's Johnson. If he can stay in bounds, he got himself a touchdown. And it looks like he did. That's not out. And now he's setting sail for the end zone. Rivers were humming along on that drive, Kevin. Looking like he's ready to deliver the death nail in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we told you, Schiano built this team to fight over the long haul. They stay in the game and get the interception, return for a touchdown. They now have 2 touchdowns in this game not scored by their offense. Talk about complimentary football. We're getting it from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Extra point. But Leonard Johnson, he's from nearby Clearwater. Undrafted, he was a high school quarterback. He's been a major contributor. He's had 2 interceptions before this, 1 today, 82-yard return. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Dan, Shannon Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for the latest NFL scores, news, and highlights. All coming up on the Subway postgame show from our CBS studios in New York. Leonard Johnson, who has been playing the nickel, 3rd interception right there, undrafted rookie out of Iowa State. He had an interception at Minnesota 2 weeks ago. He had an interception at Oakland last week. He picks off Rivers, races 82 yards for a defensive touchdown. The ensuing kickoff is out of the end zone. And now it's a 10-point game with 13:22 to play.
Well, we saw this in the Monday night game against the Denver Broncos. We saw it last week against Kansas City. In fact, he was rolling out to his right just like this. No one's open, Kevin. Take a look. You've got nowhere to go with this ball. Throw it away. What are you doing? He gets careless with it. It's the same as what he did on the interception to Eric Berry 1 week ago against Kansas City. He dumps this one off to Leonard Johnson. They don't tackle him. He goes 82 yards, returning it for a touchdown. We talked about the Chargers needing to play more complementary football. Turnovers will undermine that every single time.
1st down and 10. McClain with the block for Matthews, who is brought down on the play by Teo Nesheim. It is a gain of 10 out to the 30.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 2 touchdowns on passes thrown from Josh Freeman. Then they have a punt block return for a touchdown. And they have an 82-yard interception return for a touchdown. Greg Schiano's group They learn to win as a team. Offense, defense, special teams. That's something we talked about in terms of the Chargers and their inability to win playing complementary football. It's all on the quarterback.
Johnny Brown is in. He gets the pitch on first down and 10. He is hit by Teo Nesheim, the player out of Washington. Gain of 3 to the 40, make it the 33-yard line.
You know, when we talk about turnovers in the NFL, Kevin, you know, you hear that term all the time. Why are they so critical? As you take a look at North Turner, it deflates your entire football team. Look, it robs you of your momentum. Here they are humming along, presumably ready to get back into this game, but it undermines all the productive moments you had preceding the turnover.
Second down and 7. He's got to get to the 40. And he's brought down from behind. Nice hustle that time from Bennett. He only gets a yard. Speaking of the turnovers for Tampa Bay, after forcing Solomon 24 turnovers all of last season, the Buccaneers have already registered 18 takeaways just beyond the halfway point.
Oh, they're very good at it. You know, and we talked about their defense, who had given up 360-plus yards in 4 of their last 5 games. They had given up 13 touchdown passes even before they got into today's game. But they do have the ability to take it away, as you saw in the interception.
Looking into the nickel on 3rd and 6. Brown with the block in time. Oh, there's Owen on a deflection. It's caught by the wide receiver Royal, upended by Black. He was working on E.J. Biggers, a 20-yard completion to the 46 and a first down.
Biggers initially breaks up this pass. Watch him get a right hand in it. Right there, he breaks it off. But look, it stays alive, falls right into the lap of Eddie Royal. Royal stays with it. Biggers drifts away from the play, doesn't knock it down completely. And how about that for a play to save Phillip Rivers and the Chargers bacon? They would have had the punt had they not had the completion.
On 1st and 10. Caught across the way by Robert Meacham. He was the biggest free agent San Diego signed to replace the biggest one they lost in Vincent Jackson, pickup of 8 to the 38. And he missed last week, did Meacham, with a hamstring issue.
He's been inconsistent. He's dropped a few balls, and I think the Chargers have the fewest drops of any wide receiver crew in the National Football League this season. But of those that have been dropped, far too many have been dropped by Robert Meacham.
Only 13th reception for Meacham all season long. Second down and 2. The block didn't matter because there they go. The avalanche of defenders. Looked like Hayward was kind of leading the charge, but all kinds of guys right there. A gain of 1 to the 37.
Oh, they've tried mightily to run the ball, and North Turner wants to use the run game to try to slow down this front 7, try to protect this quarterback. Now on 3rd and 1, where most teams feel like they can pound it out and run it against this #1 ranked run defense for the Buccaneers. They're going to try to spread them out. Looks like they have a fullback, though, in the backfield. So maybe they will run it, or maybe you get the play action pick.
Jackie Battle is in 3rd and 1. Battle. Big hole, and he's off to the races. Facing Barron, and gets the first down, galloping to the 16-yard line. 21-yard pickup. Battle's first appearance today in the offense. First down, San Diego.
Watch LaRon McClain. Watch him be able to kick out right there. And that springs Jackie Battle. The great block by McClain, and Battle the patience to stay behind it to get to the second level. Something that we talked about earlier. North Turner wanted to be able to run the football. That time, he was able to.
Kevin Harlan and Solomon Wilcox here in Tampa. Big drive so far. 20-yard pass to Royal. 8-yard pass to Meacham. 21-yard first down run by Battle. On the 16, 1st and 10. Hardwick the center with the block. Matthews. Tripped up on the play. Adam Hayward out of Portland State, who recovered a block punt and took it in for a touchdown earlier. 6-yard gain right there. Down to the 11-yard line. Hey, tomorrow, 2 broke girls find the sweetest thing possible in a candy store on a new episode. That's tomorrow 9 Eastern, 8 Central, only on CBS. A lot of lead changes in this game, 3 of them. A lot of fireworks overall.
Look at the average yard per play and the number of plays by the San Diego Chargers offense.
Second and 5 behind his first catch. Upended on the play by Leonard Johnson, the guy that had the pick and went 82 yards the other way. There's no gain on the play, and Solomon, they remain at the 11.
I got to say something about Johnson. Remember, it was he who gave up the first touchdown of the game when he allowed Denario Alexander to break his tackle and go 80 yards for the touchdown. How about him just hanging in there and continuing to play? I think that's what the NFL is all about. Just because you make a mistake early doesn't mean you can't hang in there mentally, continue to battle, and good things will happen.
6 defensive backs, Brown in the backfield, 3rd and 5. Rivers, incomplete for Rosario. Johnson, Barber, all kinds of Buck defenders in the vicinity.
Take a look at Barber, right? To the left of your screen. He'll flash there, see if he knocks it down. Yep, gets a hand on it, just slightly, enough to throw off Dawson.
Chargers are going to try for 3. It'll be a 29-yard field goal try. The kicker, Novak. The holder, Cypress, who took a hard hit when the punt was blocked and returned for a touchdown earlier in the game. 29-yard try. Delay a game.
Offense, number 5. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That is the first penalty on San Diego this afternoon, and we're halfway through the 4th quarter. Now, a 29-yard field goal has become a 34-yard field goal.
.34-yard attempt.
Nick Novak taking over for the now departed Nate Cater. It's 31-24. The Buccaneers on top, about 7 to play. Rivers engineering the drive, had a 20-yard pass to Royal and a 21-yard run by Battle.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Windows 8. Applebee's. Try Applebee's new Southwest Flavors 2 for $20 menu all season long. See you tomorrow. And by Verizon. Now more than ever, Droid does.
Back in Tampa, where a field goal, Rivers engineered drive put the Chargers in position to hit one from 34, now 31-24. Rivers is maddening. Huh? I mean, he's got that arm, which is he just can't help himself sometimes, can he? I mean, he
told himself, he says, hey, every game I tell myself, step up on every throw and commit to every throw. And sometimes you got to back off a little bit and live to fight another day by throwing the ball away.
Quan Lewis lets it go out of the end zone. Touchback. Buccaneers will have it when we come back. On Tuesday, as part of the NFL Salute to Service campaign, the Buccaneers honored those who serve or who have served our country. Players met with over 200 service members at the U.S. Coast Guard Air Station Clearwater. They also visited the Bay Pines VA Hospital in St. Petersburg to greet veterans recovering from injury and illness. Many in attendance today. A wonderful halftime salute, and we all appreciate what you do. First down and 10. After the kickoff and after a 34-yard San Diego field goal. Doug Martin, rookie, initially hit by Weddle and slowed up right there and picks up a yard to the 21. You've had a chance to kind of digest the numbers, Solomon, of the game. What are you reading into them?
Well, despite the numbers on the scoreboard as the Bucs lead 31-24, it is the Chargers and, of course, Norv Turner. His team leads dominantly. Look at the time of possession. Look at how many offensive plays the Chargers have reeled off in this game. And Phillip Rivers, 58 offensive plays. However, Tampa Bay has played complementary football. They've scored on offense, they scored on defense, and they've scored on special teams.
Second down and 9. Nice play in the middle, and he has a hand on the tight end, Luke Stocker, who works past him to the 31, picks up 12, and that is a Tampa Bay first down.
Evan, in the NFL, week to week, you got to find different ways to win ball games. Yes, they come armed with a great passing attack, but look, special teams has gotten in on the act. They blocked the punt, a scoop and score by Hayward to get it into the end zone on special teams. In the defense, pitches in. Leonard Johnson gets the interception, sets out 82 yards for the score. Sometimes you can't put it always on the quarterback and on Josh Freeman and on, of course, Vincent Jackson. Defense, special teams also have to play a role. We call that complementary football.
Ray and Reyes on the defensive tackle right now on the 1st and 10, and those two guys are plugging up the middle as Martin tries to find some room. He does pick up 3, and he's up to the 35.
And we've seen this offense explode in recent weeks. You saw Doug Martin put his name on the national map, put his name in contention for Rookie of the Year. With all the other rookie quarterbacks, he was a guy that at the running back position now, a lot of people spent time talking about him as he was the Rookie of the Week in the National Football League. But sometimes you've got to be able to make plays doing other things, and boy, the Bucs have done that today.
He has the 4th highest rushing grade of all backs and number 1 in the NFL with 38 forced missed tackles this year. He's been amazing. Here he is on 2nd and 7, wheeling outside. Garay and others kind of stopping him up, and a gain of 2 to the 37-yard line.
Talking about most yards from scrimmage over a 2-game span. Look at the names on that list. Walter Payton, Jim Brown, O.J. Simpson, Doug Martin. Not Curtis Martin, Doug Martin. That is very impressive.
He's hoping to have a career like Curtis Martin, who just, by the way, this past summer was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
What a great young man is Curtis Martin. If Doug Martin could put up those kind of numbers and live up to that image. Oh, absolutely.
They're down in 5. 6 in the secondary for San Diego. That's incomplete. Jackson was the intended receiver. The coverage on the play by Sharice Wright, who is playing in just his 2nd game of the season. It's incomplete. The defense does their job. They got a punt.
Watch Eric Weddle. Watch him flash across at 32. Look, nearly intercepting that ball, and that's why Jackson can't hold on to it. Sharice Wright's able to strip it away. Former USC defensive back.
Here's the punt. Royal from the 10. Talk about complimentary football. They need something like that right now, and then he is drilled by the long snapper. Andrew Economos. 10-yard return, 52-yard punt. Here comes Rivers. His team is down by 7 midway through the 4th, making late in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by E-Trade. Works beautifully. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Right now in New York, they're putting together the Subway postgame show. JB and company for scores, news, and highlights on a busy day in the NFL, all coming up from New York, the Subway postgame show. Here's a 1st and 10. San Diego with 3 timeouts from their 22. Down by 7. Oh, here they come, and down he goes. The sack by Daniel Teonesheim. That's his 2nd sack of the season. A loss of 10, and he's back to the 12.
And look, these stunts come right up the front. Look, right in the middle, comes underneath the left tackle, Mike Harris. And Harris was whipped on the play. Remember, Harris is filling in for Jared Gaither, and he just went right around him to get pressure in the face of Phillip Rivers.
2nd and 20. They pressure him again, and it's intercepted on the play. Laquan Lewis, his first career pick.
Boy, as this defense responded in the second half. Watch the pressure as the pocket collapses around Rivers. See, he can't climb the pocket. He can't step up. See, this ball's underthrown, Kevin. That ball should be thrown over near the boundary. See how he drifts inside? And that's what allows it to be intercepted. He could not drive the ball over the top near the boundary because he could not step up in the pocket. The pressure in the face of the quarterback led to an interception on the back end.
They just signed this kid off the practice squad Tuesday. He played one game for him against New Orleans. They cut him. They brought him back. They put him on the practice squad. Then they brought him up this week, undrafted out of Tennessee. And boy, he'll cherish that pass right there, which it just might have helped this team to a victory, which would be their 4th in the last 5 games. But now they need a drive that will eat up some time. And Freeman will engineer it with great beginning field position from the Charger 45. Martin takes a couple to bring him down, including Tari Bigby on a gain of 4. And you know, we talk about this Tampa Bay team coming in after starting 1-3, now 4-4. We have a timeout, 3:02 on the 4th quarter clock. Good interception by the defensive back. The Buccaneers have been involved in a lot of close games this year. In fact, they're 1-3, Solomon, in one-score games this season.
Yeah, still one score away if the Chargers can get the ball back, and that's what Freeman has to do. They've got to be able to close out this game, giving the ball to Doug Martin.
On 2nd and 7, they come up the middle with Martin. That was Vaughn Martin, and they go this pass to Doug Martin, who's brought down on the play by Johnson. The catch of 8, the gain to the 34, a first down for the Buccaneers.
Not an easy throw for Josh Freeman with Martin in his face. Vaughn Martin, that is, but he lost it over the top of the defense beyond Johnson into the hands of Doug Martin. And Martin does the smart thing. The rookie stays in bounds. How about Freeman? He's big, he's tall, strong in the pocket. It's tougher than what you think, Kevin. I got to tell you. Here's a guy that spent the offseason working out, changing his body. It tells you about his mental toughness. Shiano said he didn't initiate it. Said Josh Freeman did. He initiated the weight loss. He said that his quarterback's got great work ethic, and you can tell by the 25-pound shedding.
Remember back in 2010, had the marvelous season. He was the number 6 rated quarterback in the NFL. Then last year threw 22 interceptions as the team just unraveled. Back this year, back to the way they think he should play all the time.
He's an ascending player at this point.
Thrown a pick in over 3 games. 1st and 10. Doug Martin right into a Tari Bigby and spikes and Weddle, and a gain of 3, carving his way to the 30.
San Diego may have to lose the last time out. But there's another complaint right now. See, he said that he called for a timeout earlier. That's what Norv is saying.
That's the final.
And they're going to may have to reset the clock.
They're going to have to, because the clock is running. The guy is...
It's still running.
Bill Vinovich, our referee, has stopped the clock on the field, although it continues to run here in the stadium. That's the final timeout for San Diego. They'll reset it.
Yeah, it'll be just under 3 minutes.
Sure, exactly.
And see, there's the end of the play at about 2:44, and Norv Turner and the coaching staff are calling timeout as we speak.
3rd and final timeout. San Diego, please reset the game clock to 2 minutes, 38 seconds.
We talked earlier how Greg Schiano is trying to change the culture of this team. One way they've done it is try to jettison.
See, Norv Turner saying 2:38 is not enough. He's saying you may have to go all the way back to 2:44 when we initially tried to get the timeout.
They have tried to jettison some players they didn't feel were really, believing in the new program, like Talib, who was just traded to the New England Patriots. And his departure has really kind of given some breathing space for some nice young talent in his secondary.
Well, you saw Lewis on the interception. Johnson, another young cornerback with an interception return for a touchdown.
All right, Chargers out of timeouts now. 2nd down and 6. And this is Martin. Backed up by Butler. Weddle jumps on him as well to the 27 on a pickup of 3.
Now this one's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. The Chargers are out of timeouts. So they're hoping to get a stop here on 3rd and 3. This will be the last time the Chargers can stop the clock. Of course, it's going to stop with the 2-minute warning. But they need a stop on 3rd and 3 if they expect to get the ball back with an opportunity to still win this game.
We're at the 2-minute warning right now here in Tampa. They've had 3 lead changes, turnovers, blocked punts, all kinds of stuff here. 2-minute warning, pretty big play right here. 3rd and 3 for Freeman. The Chargers are out of timeouts and down by a touchdown.
Well, if Schiano's group can convert this into a first down, it's going to be game over. They'll be on the other side of that victory formation, won't they?
They sure will. We'll find out. Yeah, remember,
he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind.
The Giants game when the Giants scored 25, dropped 25 points on them in the 4th quarter, and they lost that game in the Meadowlands. And they kneeled down. They tried to still wrestle away the ball from Eli Manning. Here's a 3rd and 3 now. Pretty big play. It's Martin. Penn with the block. Big time hit by Butler. No gain on the play. The Chargers hold when they had to. The ball remains at the 27. They'll obviously try for a field goal here on 4th down.
There you see they're pulling all the guards, but great play by Butler. He gets and put a hat on Martin and able to stuff him and get the ball back.
1:52.
Our timekeeper is a little trigger happy.
Clock to 40 seconds.
He's a little happy with that finger of his upstairs. He better hold his horses.
Wind them both now.
And then,
Of course, I spoke prematurely. They won't get the ball back because they're still 4th down here for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
They'll try a field goal. Yep. Or will they? I
see Freeman out there.
Yeah. They had the kicker and the holder out there moments ago. Yanked him off. Now they've got him with the quarterback on the field from the 27. It is 4th down and 3.
Why wouldn't you take points here, Kevin? Considering
draw them offside.
Maybe they don't snap the ball. You got to be smart here.
Now they're going to do a pooch. Well, no. Let's see what they're going to do here. 4th down. I think they're still trying to draw them offside.
There you go. They're not snapping this ball.
Timeout. And they had 2. Now they'll have 1. And so now they'll try for the field goal.
I couldn't conceive of them doing anything but.
Well, they had timeouts to burn, and so here's Schiano.
Well, that's okay. I know that. But points are at a premium here considering the score. Go ahead and take the points.
And even though you didn't see him signal, he said to that official that was standing like that, I'm going to yell at you, timeout.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the clock tick down, which he did. Then he yelled it, and sure enough, the timeout was taken. So 1 timeout left for the Buccaneers. As I said before, Chargers are out of timeouts. And a 3-point try here with 1:12 to play in a 7-point game.
I love the way Coach Schiano coaches. He's always pushing the envelope. He's going to coach his team hard. He's going to coach them to play hard. He's not going to concede anything or any moment on a football field.
Now the Chargers have not blocked a field goal attempt since 2002. That's 160 games. Barth has had a field goal blocked. It was just last week in Oakland. Here is a 45-yard try. It's away and through. And the lead is 10 with 67 seconds to play in regulation. 45-yarder.
And you take a look at Phillip Rivers as you watch this one go through the net to take a 10-point lead. That's a nail right in the coffin. Look at Schiano. He knows it. He knows it. Yeah, we've still got to play out this game. You've got to cover on the kick, and you got to defend against Phillip Rivers. But time is on the Buccaneer side.
Boy, this Tampa Bay team, although it has not been a lot of offensive points, or I should say all offensive, they've scored 14 points, 2 touchdowns on a blocked punt retrieved and taken in, and an interception return off of a Rivers throw for 82 yards.
Yep.
So the defense has accounted for 14 of the 34 points this afternoon.
Oh, you got to love it, the way the defense and special teams, Kevin, has chipped in. And you can see Schiano still coaching, talking to the veteran Rondé Barber, moved from that cornerback position to safety. He's got to quarterback that group, that deep, and saying, stay deep. You know, go ahead and put pressure on the quarterback. Don't draw a penalty. Let's not give them anything. that's going to come cheap. You force the quarterback to check it down, then you swarm and make a tackle.
Buccaneers have 10 points off 2 San Diego turnovers. And here is the ball taken out by Brinkley. And the tackle was made by Dakota Watson. A 21-yard return. San Diego with no timeouts and down by 10, and the Buccaneers have this coming up.
They came into this game at 500, 4-4, and now you look at the second half of their schedule. Doesn't get easy at home against Atlanta, then on the road at Denver. Now that's before next week going on the road against Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers.
And just for those of you who are thinking about the 10 points off of 2 Charger turnovers, a block punt is not a turnover, but it was 6, as was the return, so 14 points aside from the offense. First and 10, no timeouts. Danny Brown, a block from Hardwick, which evaporates. He gets by David, he's hit by Biggers in the secondary, he's to the 25, and all that running produces only 5 yards.
Well, that's what the defense wants. Check it down, swarm, and tackle. Don't allow Phillip Rivers to get yards by the chunks, making completions downfield.
On second down and 5. Outside and over the head, out of the reach of Eddie Royal, who is being tagged across the way by E.J. Biggers.
Rivers initially wanted Alexander going deep, but it was well defended by the Buccaneers secondary, staying deeper than the deepest offensive player for San Diego. There's so much on Phillip Rivers, Kevin, in terms of what he has to do and how high and how well he has to play in order for the Chargers to win.
6 defensive backs, 3rd and 5 for Rivers. He's got him. Alexander, he has been money today. Brought down on the play by Lewis, 15-yard pickup, put him at the 40-yard line, 1st and 10. Clock continues to tick with no way to stop it. Unless they spike it, of course. Rivers caught Floyd. Good for the first down. 12-yard pickup. Clock at 3. And to the 47-yard line of the Bucs.
Well, this is definitely a tale of 2 halves for Phillip Rivers. He was humming along in that first half. We talked about him. Had 3 touchdown passes in the first half of this ball game. I think only 2 incompletions heading in at the half, but the second half he throws 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. He's playing from behind, Kevin, which means he's chasing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they were able to block a punt and return it for a touchdown. And when you're playing from behind as a quarterback, you tend to have to gamble, and boy, it came back to bite him.
Handoff, Danny Brown, and that is all she wrote. The Buccaneers have gone to 5-4, winning 4 of their last 5 and 2 in a row. In a game which had 3 lead changes, an 82-yard interception return for a touchdown, a block punt for a Tampa Bay touchdown. It's a 10-point win for the Bucs. For Solomon Wilcots, Kevin Harlan, you've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Coming up, the Subway postgame show.